All right. So like I was saying, right from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, what does your day look like? Give me a run through hour by hour of what your day looks like. And what you want to also do is you want to make a note. Is there a cost associated with that activity? For now, you can just simply put like yes or no, um, just to keep things simple. So I'll give you guys, like 3 minutes to write down 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. What would you be doing as a college student? And then we'll bring it back and we'll kind of talk about what we would do. All right. Okay. So I think that should be enough time. Um, let's let's see who wants to share what their schedule looks like as a college student. This one should be fun.
Can I share?
Yes, Nami. Yes. Okay. Let me get this. We'll use yours as the example.
All right.
There we go.
So for mine, I actually put 4 classes. I don't know if that's too much or too little, but anyway, I shall start. So 8 a.m. I wake up and get ready for school.
Okay.
And then around like 9 a.m. I leave to go to school.
Okay.
And then like a little before 10, I'll get to school. And then around 10 a.m., my class number 1 starts.
Okay. What class is that?
I don't know.
What class would you want to take?
Maybe like typography.
Ooh,
Maybe like beginner's typography if this is freshman year.
gotta love that sans serif. Okay. And
And
how long
then
how long is that class?
so about an hour, so it ended around 11.
Okay. And then
And then around 12 p.m. I'd have lunch, and since I need to get food, it'd be expenses going into food. So
okay.
and then 1 p.m. my second class starts.
Okay. What would you like to take?
Maybe color theory.
Ooh, Roy G. Biv.
And then 2 p.m. class number 2 ends.
Okay.
Oh wait, I just noticed 11 a.m. That's when the class ends, typography ends, and then 12's lunch, and then 1 the class starts, second class starts. Yeah.
Got it. So move everything down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 3 p.m. my third class starts.
Oh my gosh. What class are you taking?
I don't know.
Let's call it because you're gonna go into what kind of major?
Graphic design.
So Adobe Illustrator.
Yeah, maybe like Adobe Creative Cloud or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then 4 p.m. the class would end.
Okay.
And then around 5 p.m. I'd have like a little break, I guess, just an hour slot before my next class. And if I were to buy a snack, that's also kind of food expenses if you want.
Okay, and then we're gonna run out of space here, so we'll do 6 and 7, and then you
Oh,
can just tell us the rest.
okay. So then 6 p.m. my fourth class starts, and maybe this can be like motion graphics or something.
Ooh.
And then 7 p.m. the class would end, and then after that I'll be on my way home. And obviously going home, I live in a dorm, so that's expenses into living expenses. So
All right. And then that's basically it, right? It's like study for the rest of the night.
yeah, it's just pretty much homework, more homework, and then get ready to sleep. And then around 12, I'll go to bed.
Got it. All right. So I have a few questions. Well, and we'll do another one too, guys. I have a few questions for you. Hopefully you guys have something similar. Actually, I would love to see it. All right, so going back, getting ready. Are there costs associated with that?
Yeah, I guess breakfast would be one. And then like if I were to have like clothing, you need clothes. So clothing. Probably like if I were to wear I put on sunscreen in the morning like every day. So that I don't know what that calls for. But yeah. So yeah.
$10 a month, right? To buy the bottle or
Yeah.
all right. What about traveling to campus? How are you getting to campus? Are you walking? Are you on the bus? Do you live on campus?
I mean, since I'm in the dorm, I'd be living in campus, so it wouldn't really be.
Do you have your car on campus?
Do
you have a car?
I don't know if I'll have a car or not.
Okay,
For now, we could say we will have a car, so you can put that up.
so we'll say yes. So yes, because you have a car, you gotta be paying for the insurance, the parking permit, the gas, all that. And then Philip's got a joke over here. He says the cost of getting ready in classes, sanity and the will to live. Yes. Imagine you could just buy willpower and sanity. Wow. Anyway. So for sure, Nami, you got the classes cost money.
Yeah.
In college, the classes cost money. It's not like high school where you go to school for free.
And also like I would assume like textbooks and like any school supplies, that's also money going into that.
So tuition for the class and then the textbooks. Your lunch, obviously that costs money.
Yeah.
Classes. Now, you're in a special major. Is Adobe Creative Cloud free?
No, you have to pay. I know they have like student get discounts, but I know you still have to pay, obviously, for Adobe membership.
So we'll call that materials, right? It's like it's not textbooks, but it's other stuff needed to do well in the class. Angel Ruiz, okay, Matt, you're making me laugh. He says, just put yes for everything, Mr. Marquez. Crying, laughing emoji. So Angel gets the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise is to show you that in college, there's money tied to everything because remember, yes, Angel, nothing is free in life. And after you graduate from high school, for the most part, if you're going to be living on your own or you're going to move out, I wasn't able to depend on my parents for financial help. So all of these things that we've highlighted here, like the food, the parking, car insurance, the tuition, paying for the dorms, all of that is things you have to be responsible for. So this is just an exercise. So as you can see, there are costs associated with everything. I love the schedule. One thing I'll say, Nami, is that most people don't take 4 classes in one day.
Oh.
It's a lot. Your brain will be fried by the end of the day. So the most classes I've seen people do is like 3 classes, but when I was in college, I took like 2 classes a day because you don't go to class every day. You go to class like some classes are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then other classes are Tuesday and Thursday.
Mm,
So you end up not having all classes in one day.
mm,
But there are some people that kind of they will set up their schedule so that they only do Monday, Wednesday, and they will have 4 or 5 classes in one day. And it's rough. It's rough on your attention span. All
mm.
right, Philip. But this program is free. Yes, this program is free to you. Yes. For now, remember, for now. Once you graduate and are not in this program, those expenses are going to start coming. All right, I want to hear someone else's schedule. Someone volunteer. Does your schedule look different than Nami's? And we won't do the cost since we already kind of have an example. All right, yeah, Jasmine, go ahead. I see you raising your hand.
Well, I tried my best, but what I put is I would get up and get ready at 8 a.m.
Okay,
At 9 a.m. I would have breakfast.
okay. What are you eating? What are we eating for breakfast?
Whatever they offer
Oh,
at
so you're
the
eating at the dining commons, cafeteria.
yeah.
Okay,
At 10 I'd head to class.
okay. What class are you taking?
Probably something animation related. Um, and then I would study. Actually, no, sorry. After I would head to my class, I would take my class.
So be in class. Okay.
And then I would head to my next class.
All right. And what class are you heading to?
Um, I don't really know that much about the college courses you have to take in animation, to be honest.
All right. And at 11 or 12?
At 12.
Okay. Let's just say Disney films, we'll call it.
And then at 1 I have lunch.
Okay. Lunch break.
And then I would study for my classes.
All right. Yeah, we gotta build in the study blocks. Yes.
And 5 p.m. I take notes. And then I take a break for like an hour.
Relax. And what are you doing? How are you taking a break?
Probably just doing some hobbies I enjoy.
All right. 7 p.m.
I would probably just do a club if there was one available.
Yeah. And you know what? Fun fact, clubs meet at all times of the day. So you'll have some clubs that meet during the day, and then you have some clubs that meet in the evening, like once all the classes are done. So that actually does make sense.
And then 8 p.m. I probably would head home or to the dorm.
All right, all right.
And 9 p.m. I'd probably prepare my things for the next morning. And then just have a snack before bed.
You're thinking like I do, Jasmine. I can't go to sleep hungry. It's rough.
Yeah, because I figured that college would be way tougher. So
All right, all right. And there we have it. Very good schedule. We got a couple classes. We've set aside time for lunch, for food, for snacking. And then yeah, there's a study block that's very normal to have. People like will schedule study time throughout the day. Something just to kind of highlight, just for fun. Let's see. So like Nami, she had a class at 6 o'clock. That's right. In college, you have classes that start at different times throughout the day. It's not like 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. only. They will be scheduled at various times. You might have some early classes, some evening classes, just kind of depends on what's available. So thank you ladies for volunteering for this exercise. I hope everyone also had a chance to, kind of sit down and write out what their day might look like, with the main lesson here being that everything has a cost associated with it. And let's take a look at those costs. Let's talk about costs in college. So for the we're gonna do a couple. This was just gonna be us as a group talking about it. In this next example, I want to have us start thinking about the costs. So we know there's costs, but let's start actually putting a figure to that, putting some numbers. All right, here we go. And we'll be looking at 4 different types of institutions just to kind of highlight the differences in cost. And I'll call in some folks to help me guess. All right, so the cost of attendance, it refers to the cost to go to that school for 1 full year. And I mean, that includes everything, the tuition, it includes the books, it includes the food, everything you would need to go to that school. All right, so first school that's up is LAVC. Miss Jessica Ruiz, LAVC is what kind of school? Is it a 2-year school? Is it a 4-year school? Is it a public school? Can you tell me a little bit about this school?
It's a community college.
Community college. And we're looking at my PowerPoint, right? I got that up.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, all right. Jessica, stay with me. How much do you think it costs to attend LAVC for 1 year? And you can assume that you're living at home because it's local, because it's close. How much do you think it costs? You could guess. You could give me any number. Miss Jessica, are you still there? All right, we'll come back to her. George, Mr. George Lopez, help me out, sir. How much do you think it costs to attend LA Valley College for 1 year?
I'm not sure, but maybe like $300. I think.
$300. We'll take it. I'll take your guess. You're kind of close. All you gotta do
Jessica
is-
said 500 in the chat.
Oh, sorry, Jessica. Sorry guys, when I'm in presentation mode, I can't see the chat. Please use your microphone, or if you can be so kind as to just read out the chat for me. When I'm in the presentation mode, I can't see it, so I appreciate that. So $500, that's a good guess. George said, sorry, Jessica said 500. George said 300. It's actually 3,000. So it's about 1,500 for the classes, and then about 1,500 for the materials, textbooks, parking, all of that jazz. So $3,000. That seems pretty doable. That seems pretty doable. Community college. Gotta love it for its affordability. All right, here's a popular one. UCLA. For upper bound students, because we kind of live in the area, sometimes people live on campus, sometimes people stay at home. But let's assume that we're going to live on campus to get the full campus experience. How much would it cost to attend UCLA?
10 grand?
$10,000,
1,500,
says Jasmine Silva.
15,000.
15,000. Who's that guessing? 15,000.
Famita.
Famita, 15,000. That's a good guess. 10 grand, 15 grand. Let's have one more guess. Mr. Angel Santiago, how much do you think it costs to go to UCLA?
25 grand.
25 grand. Yeah, so you guys are good in guessing upwards. All right, here's the cost of attendance for UCLA. 36,000. That's everything. Tuition,
That's a
housing.
lot more than I expected.
Yes, 3 times as much. So, all right. So that's a UCLA. That's a UC living on campus. And we'll look at the cost breakdown as well in a moment. All right, let's look at another one. Ooh, here's another popular one. This one, this is USC, and this is a private school. So we got UCLA representing the UCs, USC representing the private schools. Let's have some guesses. Miss Katie Rodriguez, you seem like someone who would like USC. What do you think it costs to go to USC? All right, did you type something in the chat? Miss Katie Rodriguez.
What was that? Sorry, I was on the phone for a sec. My stepdad called me.
Okay, all right, okay. How much do you think it would cost to go to USC? Because you seem like someone who would enjoy USC.
Like 40 grand?
40 grand.
Mm,
Well, and what makes you say 40 grand?
It just, I don't know. It just seems like college would cost that much.
Right, it's a private
university.
school,
Yeah.
university.
It's a private school, so it probably costs more.
It's gonna cost, if that's how much UCLA cost, imagine how much more private school. So let's take a look. Let's see, USC. $81,000.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be 60 grand, not an extra 20 on top of that.
So something that's interesting is like housing costs, no matter what school you're looking at, are more or less the same. But what's gonna vary is the tuition. So yeah, the bulk of that cost is the tuition because it's a private school. Now, private schools is especially the bigger ones, the more selective ones. If you get in, I mean, it's hard to get in, but you're gonna basically get a great financial aid package. Especially most of you guys, like 90% of you in our program are low income. So that means that the finance wise, yeah, that looks like a big number, but they're gonna also help out a lot. I've seen students get $50,000 scholarships. So it's not unheard of that sometimes private schools can be cheaper. But the goal is to get in, right? Be competitive to get those scholarships. All right, here we have a familiar university. This is our lovely local Cal State representing the Cal States. And we'll just assume that you're gonna live on campus too, just because you want, you want the full campus experience. Mr. Fabio Reina, give me a guess. How much do you think it costs to go to CSUN?
Like over maybe 120,000.
I'm sorry, Fabio. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. I'm guessing you're going like the pattern, right? Like each one goes up.
Yeah.
Okay, 120,000. 120,000. Miss Cindy Paz. How much do you think it costs to go to CSUN, to live on campus and do everything there?
I don't really know.
It's okay. Throw out a number. Throw out a number.
Probably like 1,000.
1,000. That's a good guess. That's a good guess. I'll take it. 1,000. All right, here it
that was-
is. Oh yeah, who's speaking? Go ahead.
Oh, that was me, Philip. And I could see your slides, so like the next slides.
No, you cannot.
Yeah, I'm on my phone, so I just zoomed in on all of them.
And you, okay, all right. So what is
It's
it?
like it's 22,000.
I'm just showing.
I was
that.
gonna say it was around like 20,000 because I know all the people who go to CSUN and I already know how much like the cost is.
Yeah, that sounds like Angel Ruiz, right? Angel? All right. And what about what about you, Philip? What were you gonna guess? Or say?
22,000.
Cause you saw it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, don't cheat, Philip. Anyway, so
It's not
these
my
are,
fault. I just double tapped my phone on accident and it zoomed in. So
look, it's not my fault, Mr. Marquez. So as you guys can see, so these are all really good averages. So yeah, we're talking about, I'm highlighting these schools, but Cal State Northridge, that's about the average cost that most other Cal States. Private schools is going to vary a lot, but UCs, yeah, that's like the average cost of attendance to go to a UC. And of course, community college is very, very affordable. So now, so this is just to get you guys familiar with the actual numbers. And this is a lot of money. Most families don't have the money to pay out of pocket. Because remember, this is just 1 year. And college takes usually 4 years to finish. So multiply this number by 4. And that's the amount of money that is required to attend these institutions. Now, thankfully, for the most part, you guys are not going to have to pay the full cost, right? So we're going to be talking about that. And we're just going to skip this one for the sake of time. Now, here's an important concept I need you guys to understand. And I'm just going to call on someone to help me out. Miss Stephanie Gomez, who is responsible for covering the cost of college?
Myself.
You, yes, that is correct. You are the primary one responsible for figuring it out. So whatever financial aid doesn't cover, you need to figure that out. And sometimes people make decisions about which schools they're going to attend based off of their financial aid, because different schools will give different amounts. That's why you got to submit a lot of applications. So yes, you are responsible. Now, it's not fair though. Stephanie, do you have, what is it, 8 times 4, $320,000 to go to USC?
I wish.
Right. Right, you don't. You as a student don't. And maybe your parents don't either. But your parents, are also, when the universities admit you and they put together your financial aid package, they're to a certain extent expecting that your parents are going to help you a little bit. And the institutions themselves, they're also going to help you out. So the primary responsibility lies with the student, but there is an expectation that, between the student, the parent, and the institution, that the 3 of you will work together to cover the costs. So it's not 100% just on the student, but the student is responsible for securing all of those funds. So that is something to think about, right? And when you guys become seniors and you're applying and you're getting those acceptance letters and you're getting those financial aid offers, we walk you through individually, what each letter means, and financially speaking, what might be in the best interest for yourself. Here's a fun fact. 50% of college students in the United States receive some form of financial assistance. So it's very common Most people need financial aid. All right. All right, guys. Well, we've made it to, we've finished with that section, kind of like that intro section. Why don't we go ahead and take a 5-minute break, so we can finish the rest of this presentation. And, just to make it a clean, even number, why don't we come back at 10:15? That way we don't, we weren't on here for 2 hours back to back listening to Mr. Marquez talk. All right, so we're taking a break. We will be back at 10:15, guys. Go ahead, get up, stretch, grab some water, use the restroom. We will be back at 10:15. Hey, Fameta, I think you got booted out. We're just taking a small break. We're coming back at 10:15, so we can continue through the session. Go ahead and take a break, use the bathroom, get up, stretch, drink some water. All right, so what are the different types of financial aid? There are 4 different types of financial aid. Memorize these. There are grants, there are scholarships, there are work study, and there are loans. Before I jump into explaining what these are, why don't we check to see what you already know about them? Let's see. Miss Victoria, what is a grant? What can you tell me about a grant? What is it? What does it do? Obviously, it's money for school, but what makes it unique? And if you don't know, that's okay. Take a guess.
I think it's like obviously, yeah, money for school, but it comes from a specific like charity event or from a specific group.
Yeah, you're totally right. Grants come from a very specific group. In this case, usually the government. Grants usually come from the government. Free money from the government. Miss Alejandra Gutierrez, what makes a scholarship different than a loan?
I don't know, Mr. Marquez.
Okay, we'll find out. It's okay. And Luis, you'd love this one, Mr. Luis Guardado. Tell me what you know about work study. What is that? How does it work in this financial aid package?
I'm pretty sure it's like something about like a part-time job.
Yeah, you're totally right. Part-time job. Part-time job is the key word. You work for that aid. It's a way to earn money. All right, so let's look at these in more detail. So Victoria is spot on. Grants come from a specific organization. For the most part, grants come from government organizations. So we've got the federal government. The big one that they offer is the federal Pell Grant. There's the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. Those are from the United States Department of Education. And then we also have grants from the state. In California, we have the Cal Grant system. Check it out, fun fact. everybody that meets the minimum requirements for Cal Grant in the state of California can get one. And guess what, guys? Cal Grants are equivalent to the cost of tuition for a Cal State or a UC. So if you're eligible, which most of you are, you're gonna get a Cal Grant, meaning your tuition is gonna be covered if you go to a public school in California. That's one of the beautiful things about California. Now, not everyone gets one. They might get a different combination. They might, instead of getting a state grant, they might get the Pell Grant. And maybe they don't get the Pell Grant, but then they do get the Cal Grant plus a state university grant. And then there are institutional grants. So the universities themselves oftentimes have grants that they, as a university or college, they can offer themselves. So sometimes you'll see that pop up on a student's financial aid letter. It'll say Cal State LA University Grant. So, but yeah, Victoria was spot on there. They come from organizations, entities. Now, scholarships. So this was the question. The question earlier was, what makes a scholarship different than a loan? Does anyone want to take a crack at that? Does anyone think they know the difference between scholarship and a loan? Obviously,
I
all
know.
of these are money. Go for it, Jasmine. What makes a scholarship different than a loan?
A scholarship is different from a loan because a loan is basically you're borrowing money, but you have to pay it back. But a scholarship, you earned it by doing something like a club where you did a requirement that you fulfilled to earn the scholarship.
Correct. Loans, you have to pay back. Grants and scholarships, you don't have to pay back. It's free money. It's free money. Grants are based off of need or merit, meaning you have a certain GPA or you have a certain financial need. Scholarships can also be merit or need based, but in both cases, grants and scholarships do not have to be paid back. So you want to set yourself up in a way where you qualify for as many grants and scholarships as possible. The scholarships, so grants are almost guaranteed in a certain sense. They're almost guaranteed. Scholarships are not guaranteed. Scholarships must be earned. All right, I need to have a real talk moment with everyone. Financial aid has gotten a little bit tighter nowadays. I'm seeing less and less students be given full rides. The students that are given full rides, they have really good grades. They have extracurriculars. You need to stand out. If you don't stand out, you're gonna have to take out loans. Loans are not bad in and of themselves. They're not bad, but you want to try to avoid them if you can. You want to try to minimize the amount of loans that you take, and we'll actually cover that. We'll cover debt in another workshop, but generally speaking, nowadays for like an average student going to a Cal State, they're gonna give you loans, and they're gonna have to take the loans in order to go. But we want to try to minimize the amount of loans that you take out. Same thing for the UCs. Only the neediest of the neediest families, the neediest of the neediest students are the ones getting the full rides. Even low-income families, like the UC students, they're getting quite a bit of loans offered. And that's just kind of the situation we are right now. I would say it's not the fairest situation because earlier generations had it better, but I need to let you know. I need to let you know right now, because especially for my ninth graders, my sophomores, if you have a particular college, especially the big fancy, the really popular universities, and you want to go, you're gonna need and you don't want the loans, or you want to minimize loans, you got to be competitive for the scholarship. So that's why we're pushing the clubs. That's why we're pushing the good grades. Because remember, it's like, imagine that when you turn 18, you're gonna get a car. But the type of car that you get, it's gonna depend on your effort, the effort that you put in. You know, you're either gonna get a car that gets you from point A to point B, not the nicest car, not the newest car, but it'll get you from point A to point B. Or you can get like, you know, a brand new car with all the bells and whistles. And what you get at the end of high school, like when those admissions offers, financial aid offers come in, is gonna basically be related to the amount of effort that you put in, the amount of scholarships that you apply. So I just got to say that, because I just want to avoid you having to take out loans in the future. And for you to not have to take out loans in the future, you're going to need to earn those scholarships. So it's very doable. It's very doable. I've sat on scholarship committees. I write the letters of recommendation so that students can earn these scholarships. It's doable. But if you're not part of anything, if you're not doing anything outside of class, you're not going to be a competitive scholarship applicant. So how can you stand out for these scholarships? Participating in athletics, standing out in academics. So that means signing up for APs and honors, participating in leadership, and not just the student body, but doing leadership in your clubs. And being a leader doesn't mean standing in front of the club. It just means, you know, doing something, right? Doing something that someone else isn't doing, right? Theater, music, talents, artistic talents, those all count. Some scholarships will look for specifically those kinds of things. You have to submit a portfolio, or they will look at that. The criteria for selection for this scholarship is a student that has shown engagement in their community. And if you didn't have that, you're probably not going to be selected for that scholarship. So just something to think about. There's scholarships that are focused on specific areas. So one popular scholarship that there's like 10 scholarships reserved just for North Hollywood High School students. There's scholarships for the San Fernando Valley. And then of course there's like state and local and national scholarships. But that's just a little bit of information about scholarships. Now, something to know, because some of you guys are juniors, so some of you guys are already looking into scholarships. That is something you should be doing. But here's something that you need to know. Never pay money to apply to an outside scholarship. So sometimes when you're researching and going on websites for scholarships, it might ask you to pay a fee. Don't do that. That's usually a scholarship scam. All legitimate scholarships are gonna be free for you to apply. So if you see that they're asking you to pay money to apply, don't do that. That's called a scholarship scam. But yeah, just something to know. All right, work study. So Luis was correct. So then, as the name implies, you work for this money. So basically, the way work study works is if you sign up for it, like you say that you want work study on your financial aid application, and you get it, because not everyone gets it. Basically, you have a set aside job at your campus or your college. I was a work study student, and work study students are in demand. Why? Because work study students get their paycheck basically from the federal government. So for that university, that department isn't paying you necessarily. They pay a small portion. So for them, it's a very cost-effective way of meeting their staffing needs. So when I was a work study student, I would get emails. Hey, Fernando, I noticed you're a work study student. We have an office support position available for 10 to 15 hours in the architecture department. Here's the application. And I would get those emails maybe once a semester, because the work study students are in demand. The nice thing about these kinds of jobs is that they're usually on campus. So it makes going to class and going to work very easy. and they know you're a student, so they are extra flexible. I know that sometimes students work, like they'll work in fast food or they'll work in retail or other service fields. And sometimes it's tough. Sometimes they have to do the 20 hours, the 25 hours because they find it difficult to say no to their supervisor. Or right now, there's a big need for people to fill in, right? There's a big like labor shortage. So, but if you have a work study job, you kind of have that flexibility for the department to work around your schedule. So this is a good thing. When you guys get to your senior year, you'll see it. Are you interested in work study? Everyone should put yes. Everyone should put yes. Now, loans. Loans are not necessarily a bad thing. Loans can be a good thing in the right context. So if you are going to be an engineering major, a business major, and you know you're going to be making that big money when you graduate, a little bit of loans is not going to be a bad thing. You're going to be able to quickly pay it off. Now, if you're in a major or you want to go in a career field where, you know, it's not known for being the best paying, or maybe, you know, employment can be inconsistent. Like if you work in the entertainment industry, sometimes you have to go from project to project. And so you're not consistently employed. You don't want to have that loan payment hanging over your head. So in that situation, it might not be the best decision to pursue a loan. Now, we haven't talked about the amounts of loans, but on average, the average college student in the state of California is graduating with about $22,000 of student loan debt at the end of their college career. California has some of the lowest student loan debt. And then about 50% of Cal State and UC students graduate with zero debt. Again, just to give you like a perspective as to how these loans work, what's the likelihood of you getting one, how much you can expect. Again, this topic is actually really important because, again, nowadays, most students are going to be offered loans, so we'll actually have a follow-up workshop just on that. And of course, scholarships. We have a standalone workshop just on that because both of those are equally important. One last note about loans is that most people get their loans from the federal government. They're part of your financial aid package. And if you are going to take loans, it's recommended that you go through the federal government. Why? The federal government charges lower interest rates than if you would go and get a loan from a private bank. Federal loans usually have more flexibility. So once you graduate from high school, you can have up to a year to repay the loan. So you can go a whole year without having to make payments. And then this particular loan, this particular name, the direct subsidized loan. So for the subsidized loans, the government pays the interest. So if you borrowed $5,000 in loans in your freshman year, when you graduate from college, you're only going to owe $5,000 because the government is not charging you interest on the subsidized loans. Most loans charge you interest. So if you borrowed $5,000, well, it's accumulating interest if you're not paying it back immediately. And so by the end of those 4 years, you're going to owe maybe $5,300, $5,400 based on the interest. So the best type of loans, if you do end up taking them, are going to be the federal loans. And then your last resort, which in my opinion, you should never get to this point because there's so many resources that you should never get to this point. For most people, is the private loans, going through a bank, right? Some people might find themselves in that situation because, you know, family income might be too high, so they didn't qualify for anything. But for most of you guys, private loans should be the last resort. Should be the last resort. All right. So again, just as a mini reminder, we want to focus on the grants and the scholarships, the work study, and then when it comes to loans, we want to minimize that. And when you get offered loans, they're going to offer you a lot. They're going to say, hey, here's a $10,000 loan. But that's just the standard size of the loan. If you know that your needs are going to be less, you don't have to take the whole amount. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. All right, so we learned about 4 forms of financial aid. Let's see if people can, who can remember what the 4 forms of financial aid was. Let me have a volunteer. I'm gonna call on you. Famita, what were the 4 forms of financial aid?
Grants, scholarships, work study, and loans.
Yes, beautiful. Those are the 4 forms. Thank you so much. All right, moving on. So those are the types of aid. All right, so let's look at a cost breakdown. So we saw how much college costs in total, but let's take a look at how much college costs in the breakdown. So this is actually going to be a group exercise. We're all going to do this together. And Philip, yeah. Do not skip ahead. Do not skip go. All right. Okay. So we looked at our schedule. You guys made a schedule earlier that day. You know, things that are going to cost you money throughout your day. But let's write them out together. So what are the costs of college? Let's see, who have we not called on? Mr. Ryan Lozano, what is a cost associated with college, with going to college? You guys could use the chat too.
I feel like it just depends on what college you go to. So I'm gonna just say LABC, maybe around 2K, was it?
Yeah, but I'm not asking for the cost to go to that college. I'm saying, like, what are the categories, right?
Oh, what are the categories? I see.
Yeah.
So like maybe traveling expenses, dorms, I
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah, travel and transportation, right? That was one category. Give me another one.
Living costs, like if you want to have a dorm, or I don't know.
Yeah, housing.
Yeah.
Melanie.
There's also the food cost.
Meals. All right. Okay, so we can get to school. We've got our textbooks. We can eat. What else are we paying for?
Tuition.
Tuition. We got to be able to walk into the classroom and take the class. All right, you guys are almost there. Let me see. Travel, transportation, housing, book materials. Yes, you guys have
Classes.
Tuition is classes. I would count that as classes. You guys actually got it. You guys got it all. Now, remember who was saying who had to buy sunscreen? Was that not me?
Yeah, that was me.
So all those little things. So your deodorant, your laundry detergent, all of that, we'll just call it like personal. You know, that new t-shirt that's on sale, that cute top, that hat, those shoes, personal miscellaneous, you know, you're gonna need them. So yeah, so we've covered it. Anything else? Yes, take care, Melanie. I think that's it. Anything else that we missed? Anything we want to add? I think this is pretty good. All right, so let's look at an example. You guys got it. You guys got all the categories. Let's look at an example. All right. Someone pick a school. What's the school we want to look at?
Can it be private or does it have to be public?
Anyone, any school.
Can you do art center?
Sure. Art Center, is that the full name?
Yes, it's a private college in Pasadena.
Got it. All right. So we're on their page. And let's see what we can find about the costs. Because we know it's going to cost money, but we want to break it down. So couple resources here. We got this one. Admissions is usually a good page to visit. All right. All right, tuition and fees, 23,000 per term. So Nami, what's my cost for the whole year? You can estimate it.
Would it be 23,667? Because that says fall
Oh.
2021 to summer 2022. So that's a whole
Totally
year.
right, my bad. So tuition is 23,000. All right, all right. What else? Okay, so that's all the info there. Ooh, I see something here. Financial aid eligibility. Oh, I see something else. Estimate additional costs. Here it is. Additional costs for each term include required course supplies and living expenses. So Art Center does not offer dormitories, and living costs vary greatly based on the type of housing. So I'm guessing, Nami, you would probably live with parents, right?
Well, that's if I go to this school, then yeah.
If you go to the school, right? Because they don't have dorms, so either you move out, or you stay at home. But they have some things here: supplies and books. They're estimating it at 2,000. So let's add some of these to our numbers. So tuition was 23,000. They're saying that books and materials is 2,000, and transportation, they're estimating at 1,400. And I'm guessing that covers like the cost. By the way, when they say transportation costs, they refer to like the cost of the insurance, the cost of gas, the parking permit to park on campus, basic maintenance. So if you're wondering kind of like, oh, where'd they get the 1,400? Supplies and books, housing is going to vary in this situation. All right. Miscellaneous / personal, we'll just say that they're saying 2,000. All right, so Nami, in your situation, sorry that I'm just automatically going with you as the example. So some people do that, right? So if they go to a local college or university and they live at home, like if you're going to CSUN or UCLA, housing might not be something you worry about. And meals might not be something you worry about. So that's gonna change your totals. So, all right. Can we do some quick math in our heads?
I already got the answer because I like added it all right now. It's
All right.
28,400 for the estimated amount.
For everything?
Yeah.
Wait, 20,000?
No,
Oh,
28,400.
28,000. Got it. Thank you, Nami. So this is kind of what it's looking like. So this is the total cost. This is what we were referring to as the cost of attendance, right? So Nami, between her financial aid and her family, they need to be able to cover those costs. These are the estimates, by the way. So it's not it might not be exact, but being somewhere around this ballpark of numbers should be okay. So now websites, college websites usually have, let's see, like this website has a financial aid guide. Let's see what they have there. All right. Something about financial aid offer. Okay. I'm trying to see if they have anything on like what it might look like. Hey, so, all right, so this is an example of a student. This student is getting a $5,000 grant, sorry, a scholarship from the Art Center, a Pell Grant, the supplementary educational opportunity grant, and then they're getting a couple loans and work study. So in this example, that student is getting $12,000 in aid. Now, I believe in this example, they assume that the person is living on campus. Sorry, not living on campus. Wait, never mind. So they're gonna get about $12,000 of help, and they're gonna need about $12,000 that they need to come up with. So outside of whatever help they get. So that's where the scholarships come into play. What else do they have here? Okay, nothing too crazy. Yeah, so one thing that's not on here is like the Cal Grant. So in the example that they gave, they don't list the Cal Grant. For a private school, if I'm not mistaken, the Cal Grant is in the amount of like $9,000 if you go to a private school. So again, that could be a big help there. Anyway, as you guys can see, there's on schools' websites usually a way to get an idea of what the costs are going to be. Every school is going to list out the breakdown of the costs, right? So that you can see them for yourself. And more importantly, every school is going to have this thing called a net price calculator. What is the net price? So let's go back to our presentation to learn a little bit about that. Because right now we're just, doing some numbers off at the top of our head. We know that that's how much it's going to cost, but we want to get an idea of how much financial aid we're going to get. So what we call what other terminology that people use is they refer to the cost of attendance as the sticker price, which refers to basically the total cost of attending a school or a college or university. Now, what I was mentioning is what we want to look at is, okay, we know this is how much it's going to cost, but I want to know, is there a way for me to figure out how much financial aid am I going to get? And there are things called net price calculators. So what is the net price? The net price is the amount that a student pays to attend an institution in a single academic year after subtracting scholarships and grants, right? So in the example that we were seeing for Art Center, they had anticipated a total cost of $24,000, and then they had calculated about $12,000 in financial aid, leaving $12,000 that the student had to come up with. So the net price is the cost of attendance minus the scholarships and grants that the student receives. Now, the net price does not include loans. Some of these calculators do not factor in any loans that you might be offered. So that's something to keep in mind. Some of them do. Some of them will show you. This is how much you have to pay out of pocket after loans are included, but most of them are not going to include loans. So just another example, let's say on a school's website, you find out that it's going to cost you about $10,000 to attend, and they're going to offer you about $5,500 in terms of grants and scholarships. That means you have about $4,000 that you have to come up with. So the 4,000 is the net price. That is the amount that it's going to cost you after we account for the grants and scholarships. So these net price calculators are available on a college's website. Can help you again estimate what you might be expected to pay. And the way that these work is that you enter information about your family situation to see what kind of help you might get, what kind of cost you might expect to pay. Sometimes you might think, hey, USC, I love it, go Trojans, but 84,000, I don't know if I can do that. Well, how do you know if you haven't used the net price calculator, right? It's basically giving you insight as to what kind of financial aid students like you in a similar financial situation are getting. So it's very helpful to use these. Now, some tips for net price calculators is you want to answer the questions accurately. There are going to be questions about your finances there. And just remember, this is an estimate. It might not be exactly how things play out for you. All right, so in this situation, we're gonna go ahead. Let's pick another school and let's use their net price calculator. You can usually do a Google search. You can, UC Santa Barbara net price calculator or Point Loma University net price calculator, and you should get something on Google. But for now, someone give me a school we want to look at to use their net price calculator.
CalArts?
CalArts, okay. Bam, so there is one. Open the net price calculator. All right, so for this situation, I'm just going to use an example. It's a scenario that I'm just coming up with. Do you plan to apply for financial aid? Yes. At the time of applying for financial aid, you guys are more than likely going to be about 17 years old. CalArts, Jasmine, is that in SoCal? Would you need to live on campus or?
It's in Santa Clarita,
Oh, okay.
which I believe is like a 30-minute drive or so.
Would you live on home? Would you live on campus? Live on campus?
To be honest, haven't really decided that, but for the time being in this situation, I'll say dorm.
Okay. You're a student, so you're not married. But no, you shouldn't. Most people don't have children. How many people are in your household? For this example, I'm just going to use a household of 4, and we'll assume that you'll be the one in college, but number of people in college does affect your financial aid. So some years your financial aid gets better because your younger siblings start at college. What is your household annual income after taxes? We'll go with a modest between 40 and 49,000. That's a good average for the students in our program. All right, so we answered some of the questions. All right. So they're saying that the total cost of attendance for CalArts is 67,000. And then they give you the breakdown. About 50,000 is in tuition. If you live on campus, that's about $10,000. It includes the rooming, so your housing and the food. They're anticipating about $2,500 in books and supplies and about $7,000 in personal expenses. A student in this situation would get about $26,000 in grants, in scholarships and grants. That means that after grants and scholarships are applied, the remaining cost for that student is $40,000. Now that's assuming the student hasn't applied to any other external scholarships. So that's actually quite a big number.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at it and I was like, oh, geez.
Yeah, so I mean, this might not be exact. I would say like I wouldn't get discouraged because usually there's like different scholarships, especially for low income students, to apply for. So this is usually like taking only into account the basics, the guaranteed grants and scholarships that you get. But we didn't put anything about our academics. We didn't put anything about our personal projects. We didn't put anything about our community involvement. So this calculator can't account for the scholarships we might get for those things. Let's try one more school. Let's go with the public school. Who have we not heard from today? Emmanuel, help us out. Give me a public school you would like to look at.
In the chat, he put Cal Poly Pomona.
Got it. Okay. Do you plan on applying for financial aid? I do. How old are you? We'll say 17. Emmanuel, are you planning on living on campus or at home? Pomona is about an hour away.
He said on campus.
Thank you, Nami. Appreciate it. Not married, no children. People in your household. We'll put a few more. Let's say there's 6 people in my household. Of the number in your family, how many in your college will be in college next year? We'll say 2 this time. What is your household income? We'll go with the same amount. All right. So to live on campus at Cal Poly Pomona, they're saying it's going to cost you about $30,000. Here's the breakdown. Tuition is about $7,000. Living on campus, check this out. Here's something interesting with public schools. Usually the cost of housing is more than the tuition. So it costs more to live there than it does to take the classes. So that's something interesting. Books and supplies, personal expenses, and they're anticipating that you're going to get about $13,000. Again, this is without the loans. $13,000 in grant aid. This sounds about right. This is about a Cal grant and like a Pell grant combined here. So you might end up getting like, loans on the side. All right. One last thing is kind of like our last example is sometimes the housing costs are the biggest costs, but they can also be the ones that vary the most. So here's the example. So let's look at Cal Poly Pomona housing. And let's look at the costs. All right, so they have a wonderful table here on the annual costs. And remember, the housing is included, but also the meals. And so, for example, on the net price calculator, it's saying that my housing is going to cost almost $17,000. But if I take a closer look and I do additional research, I can see that I can sign up for a triple, meaning I'm in a dorm with 3 people, and that'll come out to about $15,000. I don't have to buy the meal plan. Maybe I can cook for myself, and that brings the cost down to $10,000. So there's different ways to save money. And again, this is just to give you an idea, right? To get a ballpark number of how much aid you're gonna get. And this doesn't include any special scholarships that you might be eligible for, and it doesn't include any external scholarships that you're going to be applying for. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's it. That's about our time together. For our new students, since you are new, do not forget, we have a sign up process. This is basically you saying that you were here today. In the chat, you're going to see a link. Go to this link. You're going to fill it out. And basically, it's you certifying that you have received this service from Upward Bound. All my older students already know this. But before we go, let's see. Joseph, what is one thing you learned about financial aid today that stuck out to you? All right, passing it over to Angel.
That
okay.
that depending like on what like you have is like it's like so like depending on what you have, like you can get different kinds of it and stuff like that.
So like there's different types of financial aid, and
Yeah.
your own personal situation can affect how much financial aid you get.
Yeah, basically like that.
All right. What about you, Angel Santiago? Give me one takeaway from today.
I learned about loans, grants, work study, and scholarships.
So the different forms of financial aid. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And thank you. This was part one of the financial aid series. Have a good one, guys.
Mr. Marcus, have a good day.
And
thank you. You too. Thank you for your help, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate it.